Welcome to episode 52 of the Rise Fitness and Nutrition Podcast. Today is the 1 year special episode and I have a guest with me here today. We're gonna talk with Get Fit with Karim live from Dubai, and we're gonna talk about a lot of things starting from motivation to our fitness journey and our goals next year. Listen up guys, because this is really interesting. Okay, so Karim, tell us something about you, because maybe who's listening now doesn't know you or doesn't know you
Yeah.
yet. So who are you? Who's Karim?
Hey, Carl. First of all, thank you for having me, man. My name is Karim. We met, I think, online on Instagram and through a friend. And I'm just gonna go ahead and introduce myself first. I'm a electrical engineering student living in Germany. Um, since this is a fitness podcast, I'm gonna concentrate on the fitness aspect of my life. I did study some nutrition and some personal training online while I was, doing my bachelor's degrees. And I did it because I always had this underlying passion for fitness, and I really wanted to dive deep into the science and the know-hows and everything, and be able to give the knowledge that I acquire throughout the days to people. And so I actually for a few months I also started working at a gym as a personal trainer, and I was able to gather or pick up a lot of good experience there. And I think that's why you and I are more similar than different in from that aspect. And yeah, that's pretty much from my side. If I start going on and telling you about my life, I'll probably never finish. So I'm gonna just keep it. I'm gonna give you a summarized version of that. And yeah, man, I'm just looking forward to our talk right now.
Yeah, so for people listening, where can they find you? You mentioned that we have met on Instagram, so how can
Yes.
they reach you? What's your
Yes,
handle?
awesome. Yeah. So if you guys follow me on Instagram, that's gonna be Get Fit with Karim. Karim spelled Karim. If you follow me there, I do post a lot of fitness content and sometimes a lot of workouts, a lot of exercises. I talk about nutrition from time to time, and I think why I like my page, this might be a biased opinion because it's myself, is because I think today in today's age we have a lot of might I say, I don't want to say the word, but there's a lot of BS circulating
Oh yeah.
around the fitness industry, and I think you'll agree with that, Carl, because you realize that a lot of people would just say anything to attract your attention. Eat this, do that.
Yeah.
In 5 minutes you can get a six pack, and like, let's be honest, that's not how it works. And I
No.
think one of the main motivations of my page was to call out these people or talk about things in a more clear manner and in a real way, so to say. So if you guys are interested, once again, Get Fit with Karim. Karim spelled Karim.
Absolutely,
Yep.
guys. I recommend you to go and have a look at it because he posts very cool stuff and it's definitely worth it your time.
Thank
All
you,
right,
Carl.
so talking about today's podcast, it's the end of the year. Today is December 25th, but this podcast will be aired in a couple
Hmm.
of days because it's usually Tuesday, but this doesn't matter. But let's talk about goals.
Hmm.
And anytime we reach the end of the year, it's a moment of reflection and thinking about the things we achieved and the things we didn't achieve yet. So, speaking of your goals, fitness goals and nutrition goal, of course, what did you set for yourself for the year? What did you achieve and what did you not?
Yeah, that's a very good question, Carl. First of all, I want to wish you a Merry Christmas because it
Ah,
is
thank you.
Christmas today. Uh, I don't think I've done that. So, yeah, Merry Christmas. And to everyone watching this. um, so, let's go back a bit and talk about my goals. First of all, yes, I always do set goals for myself.
Hmm.
And to be specific, I know this sounds a little cliche, but I always do it on New Year's.
Hmm.
I sit down with myself for like 30 minutes, and I tell myself, or I ask myself, what do I want to achieve the next year, the upcoming year.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, since this is a fitness podcast, we're going to only concentrate on the fitness aspect of things. So with respect to fitness, this year was actually a great year for me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I realize now that I look back on the goals that I set, I kind of underestimated what I
Okay.
can achieve in 1 year.
Tell us more about it.
Awesome. So I will do that. So in the beginning of the year, I um, I told myself, okay, every year as a natural, let's call myself bodybuilder or
Mm-hmm.
whatever you'd like to call me. Um, I always set a goal. I want to gain 2 to 4 kilos of muscle. Okay, let's put it
That's a
that way.
lot.
And that is tough, especially for a natural. Or I was saying 2 to 3 kilos. 4 is a little unrealistic for me, or so I thought. Um, but that was like the fundament. Okay, I want to
Okay.
achieve that. Um, so the beginning of the year, I just started, sticking to my plan and everything, and I never really dove deep into the nutrition side of things,
Mm-hmm.
from the aspect that, okay, what would happen if I really take nutrition to an extreme, and like I really start looking at things more specifically, adding more calories and trying to gain proper weight.
Mm-hmm.
And so I did start a little late. I started in around June, July time. And I
Mm-hmm.
was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to start increasing my calorie intake. And if you want to call it bulk, let's call it bulk. I decided to
Yeah.
go on a bulk. And in the space of 4 to 5 months, so now looking at it, it's so fast forward to the day, I have gained around 10 kilos, which is a lot. And
That's a lot of weight. That's a lot of
that
weight
is
for
a
you.
lot, yes. So I went from 72 to 82. So 82 was my heaviest. I want to, that's not very honest of me. 82 was my heaviest, but I then went down to 79, which
Mm-hmm.
was, which is the weight that I am now most comfortable at.
Mm-hmm.
And now when I look back at it, okay, we're talking now around 7.5 kilos of gained weight, and I'm not going to say all of that is muscle, obviously not, but I do want to say definitely we're looking at the higher range of the goal that I set in the beginning of the year, which is around 4 to 5 kilos, because
Mm-hmm.
I realize now I don't carry I still don't carry a lot of fat in certain areas of my body as I did when I was weighing 71, 72 kilos, and I feel way stronger. And so I would like to expect that most of the weight has come from new muscle tissue. Uh, and
That's sweet.
Yeah, man, and it's great because it's the first time I did it. So I really wanted to see, okay, how far can I push myself, and what can my body do? And I first of all, I don't know if I've mentioned it. I am 21 years old, so at this age, you can push yourself. You can at least risk to push yourself. Let me put it
Yes.
that way.
Yeah, your
Let me put it
body
that way.
reacts really fast also. So it's good.
Definitely, definitely. So I don't know. I definitely wouldn't recommend this to someone if he's 50 or 60 years old. Maybe he can do it, but I don't think it's the most practical way, because
Mm.
I did also do it in a quite quick time frame. It wasn't a quite short time span, and but we'll get into the details of that later. But just going back to the topic, yeah, I in the end I did achieve my goal. I actually, let's say, overachieved it, and so to, to sum it up, I think it was a good year to me with respect to with respect to the fitness side of things,
Did
and
you
yes.
did you have any specific, say for example, lifting goals? Say I want to lift this
Hmm.
much in this exercise by this time.
Yeah, that's a great question, Carl. The thing is, in the beginning of the year, we all know what has been circulating uh, uh, in the world today. So the sea hit, and gyms were closed. So I
Mm-hmm.
really didn't I really was just doing home workouts. Started setting small goals. Like I just used to go do some calisthenics, do a lot of pull-ups. Say, okay, today I want to do pull-ups with this much weight, or do a little, more pull-ups than last time, basically.
Mm-hmm.
But then when I started going into the gym, I told myself I set basically compound movement goals. So like the
Mm-hmm.
squat, bench, deadlift goals. I wanted to hit 100 kilos on the bench.
Okay.
I wanted to hit. I wanted to hit 150 kilos on the deadlift, or 160 kilos on the deadlift, and I wanted to hit on the squat 140 kilos to be specific.
And just for
Yeah,
understanding, when
yeah,
you started lifting,
yeah.
what was your experience? Were you already an experienced lifter, or you were starting kind of from zero? Because that makes a difference.
That's a great question. I think everyone has a zero, to start with. Everyone starts from zero. I just seem to believe that some people's zero might be other people's tens or twenties or even 50.
Yeah, that's true.
According to your genetics, according to the access that you have, according to how fortunate you are, I guess. You have good gyms, good equipment, but yeah,
But let's say, for
yes,
example, when you started bench, what was
yes.
your beginning weight? Because
Oh,
that makes a difference. If it was like 90 kilos, you'll say,
well,
okay, it's just 10
well,
plus 10 kilos.
Well, I think you picked the worst out of the three, because when I started because when I started gymming, I was young. I do think I guess I'm still
Yeah,
young,
of
but
course. Very young
when I
still.
when I look back at my teenage days, I kind of laugh at myself just from the way that. But I guess uh, as should some people too. But uh, I when I started gymming, I really just trained my chest and my biceps. So every day
Okay.
I went to the gym, I got on the bench press, and I just did chest and biceps. Like 20
Okay.
sets of chest, 10 sets of biceps, and I went home. And I did that for like a year. And then I was mad at myself, like, why am I not gaining muscle? Why is my chest not getting big? Why is my back not getting bigger? Why
Yeah.
aren't my legs? I play football. Why aren't my legs getting big? So my bench was actually always strong. Um, I ended up achieving all these goals. I actually ended up beating all the goals that I set for myself.
Mm.
I think 110 kilos on the bench. But back in the day when I started, I think I could get maybe 70 kilos on the
Okay.
bench.
Well, that's a
Yes,
very heavy one
it,
already.
yeah, it's not a, it's, yeah, sure, but it's not a crazy difference, because for example, the squat, for me, I think that's crazy because I never used to squat until I think beginning of 2020, or
Okay.
sorry, end of 2019, maybe beginning of 2020, and my squat just skyrocketed. I went from 90 kilos to 100 to 120, then to 140, and for me to rep 140 kilos for me is that was back in the day when I was repping that, it was almost double my body weight.
Yeah.
And um, and to me, that was way more impressive because it's a new compound movement that I decided to really put a lot of time and effort in perfecting it. So that's something I'm more proud of. Let me put it in that way. Let me
Okay.
put it that way. Yes. What about you? For me, that interests me. Do you have any, lifting, like specific weight goals that you always set for yourself? I'm also interested in how you do this.
On my side, my history with lifting is a troubled history. You might laugh, but I actually did start properly going to the gym, say a year and a half ago.
Wow.
When I was working, going every day to the office, I realized I was practicing Kyokushin karate. So I was basically fighting.
Okay.
And I was doing on top of that some weightlifting, but nothing properly like heavy or structured.
Mm-hmm.
I would go to a very terrible gym, a public gym that was overly crowded, under-equipped. So I was going there a couple of times a week before going to karate, and I would do whatever I could do, say some squats, some bench, some curls, some arms, whatever I could do. And then I would go to karate. So karate and training for karate was my priority.
Mm-hmm.
But and that was my priority when I moved to Japan. So I never actually think about going to a gym because I wanted
Hmm.
to fight. But then, like any fighting sport, comes with a risk,
Definitely.
and Kyokushin karate is a particularly risky type of karate because it's a full contact fighting sport.
Wow. Okay.
For whatever the reason, you cannot punch the face, but you can kick the head.
Oh
So
yeah. It hurts less.
I,
I'm just it definitely does not hurt less.
it's just like twice as
Yeah,
scary as you can imagine because a kick can just slap you on the floor and you're done.
definitely,
So
definitely.
I was doing that, and I started basically ruining everything because I had several injuries. And
Hmm.
every time I had an injury, I it always made me think like, dude, what are you doing? If this thing gets worse, you won't be able to do anything else. Up to a point in at the end of 2019 that I decided that I had enough because the last injury I couldn't walk, lie down, sit down without feeling pain in my hip joint. And I
Yeah.
realized that like this is not what I want. I love karate, I love sparring, I love fighting, and I loved everybody at the dojo, the karate gym. But there were some people that were definitely fighting to become professional or fighting aggressively, too aggressively. And for a guy like me, and I did that as a passion without the desire of being champion of the world, it was becoming too much and too stressful. Because every time I would go to the gym, I would be like, okay, who's going to injure me today? Or where am I going to destroy myself today so that tomorrow I cannot maybe go to work? And I realized that work is a priority because if you cannot work, well, how are you going to bring the
Yeah.
food to the table?
Definitely.
So at the end of 2019,
Hmm.
I dropped the karate, and the beginning of 2020, I started going to the gym. And we all know what happened. So I went for 2 months straight every day to the gym doing a regular push-pull routine, and then the
Hmm.
gym closed. Went to the park for 2 months because the gym in Japan closed for 2 months, every day doing the same routine, push-pull. And actually, I did like amazing results. I was going on a diet of 300, 400 push-ups per session and 100 pull-ups per session.
Yes.
And when the gym opened again, I was like, I have to be careful because I haven't been lifting properly. And on like not the first, but the second session, I did an exercise and I felt my right forearm twitch. And I thought myself, okay, that's gonna hurt. And that turned into a crazy outburst of epicondylitis or tennis elbow. So
Oh,
that was June. In the beginning of September, my the pain was unbearable. So from September all the way to the end of January 2021, I couldn't do anything. And by anything, I mean that even carrying a single plate to the table was painful. So I
oh,
was out of it. I did properly start training from February 2021.
that's crazy. And
And
and and how were you able to recover from it? Did you were you
letting
going to
it
a doctor?
rest, letting it rest. Mostly doctors were like, yeah, you just take some anti-inflammatory, but the pain didn't go away. So I let it rest. And when I actually did start going to the gym, like doing any kind of exercise that involved biceps was impossible to do. So I started super
Really?
easy. I would use like two
Mm.
kilos to do bicep exercise, and it was fun because you see all these big guys lifting as heavy as they can. And I had like 2 kilos just moving it around.
How stressful was it in these 4 or 5 months where you weren't allowed to train?
It was unbearably stressful. People around
You
me noticed that, and it was unbearable because when you had this type of pain, you realize that, oh, this is never gonna go away. I will never be able to do things again. So your brain starts going crazy. And coming from a person like me that trains or does something active every single day to go from
yes,
zero, well,
definitely.
from hero to zero, it was a
Yeah,
nightmare.
I can imagine, man. Especially since it's a big part of your life and our life.
Yeah,
Taking something away like that is like taking a piece a piece of
yeah,
yourself, and
like a
throwing it
big
away.
chunk of it.
Definitely, definitely. Because I feel like a lot of people, do sports, okay, maybe to look good, to do this, but there's also a huge, huge, my let me, stress on that word, mental aspect to it, and I think once you take out sports from your life. You also take out to a certain extent health from your life,
Oh yeah.
and you just, that's why I try to tell people it's you should, being able to train, being able to go to the gym is a luxury that not a
Yeah.
lot of
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
have, and I feel like you really know the worth of this luxury once you get injured. And obviously I can only imagine how happy you were once you could start training again properly and everything, no?
Oh yeah. You can bet on it.
Yeah, man.
And but the thing is that I am, and that's an issue, and I'm aware of it. I'm the type that cannot rest. And I know that's
Yes,
stupid. And I made a podcast on
yes.
that. That's
I,
completely stupid.
I agree with you. I am very similar to that.
But the thing is that I push, 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 and then I
Mhm.
break. And then I have setback that lasts for months. So, and that's, they say, my unwritten goal for next year to like slow down a little bit,
Mm.
train properly, but most
Yes,
importantly, rest properly. If you don't recover,
100%.
it makes no sense.
100%. And this is something that I also think is very important to talk about, because yes, with time you'll be able to understand your body, and you'll know how much volume you need, how often you have to go to the gym. But from my own experience, I used to also do a push pull legs routine so twice. So I used to go 6 times a week to the gym, and
Yeah,
and
same.
and and man, obviously you go there, you're not gonna lift, like baby weights, and you're gonna give your all. And
Yeah.
if the intensity is high and the frequency is that high, 6 times a week lifting weights almost every day, and on the day that I'm off, I usually go run like 10K or something. That's how crazy it got to a certain point. And I realized, and then I stopped that. Actually started going maybe 3 to 4 times a week maximum, 4 times at most, maybe 3 times a week, full body actually. And the results were exponentially better than
Right?
the 6 times a week. And I realized, let your body rest.
Yes.
You
I
don't need that much. You don't need that much. And it was hard because I love going to the gym. I enjoyed it. It was like,
mm,
I want to do that, and telling yourself, hey, no, and like stopping that, the dopamine rush,
yeah.
it's not easy. It's not easy. It's like telling someone to a certain extent that, like, to stop smoking. Obviously it's not, I'm not saying we're addicted to it, but it's something we crave,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and
I
and
agree.
from 6 to 3 times a week, you also feel maybe that your day's a little empty or something like that. And that's why but that the hard way. And I realized, hey, I need to let my body rest. I think rest is as important as training and
Oh yeah.
eating. So to anyone listening to this, and they think that they have to, kill themselves every day in the gym, it's not true. 3 to 4 times is more than enough, and
Yeah.
and as long as you hit all your body parts, as long as you get it enough volume, enough frequency, it is more than enough. uh,
Yeah.
and
There's
and
this
and that's
big
something you
culture,
yes,
like
and that's
the
something I guess you're trying to, that's one of your goals, I guess, for next year, right?
oh man, yeah. Because I
Yeah.
realized that if I get any kind of injury because I decide to do one more rep, like
Hmm.
this one more rep
It's not
makes no
worth it.
sense in
It's
the
not
grand
worth it.
scheme of things.
Yes, it's not
So
worth
I'm
it.
like, yeah, it's not worth it. And
It's
although like my brain tells me go, 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 my body's like, dude, no. And you gotta listen.
do you think maybe I think it's also maybe the brain, but I think it's also the ego, man. The ego is a big, or for me, it if anything, I think my ego is something that pushes me to a point that I might regret later. Like, for example, that one extra rep that put more weight on the bar because the person next to you is doing that. I had that when I was starting out. I was like,
Mm,
I don't want to look weak. I don't want to. I could sacrifice form for more weight, and that's what I realized. Like, I realized I just need to put my ego in control and realize that, hey, this one rep, this more weight on the bar, you know, don't risk it. You're going, everyone's
right?
different. No one really actually cares, by the way. let
Yeah.
me let me put it that way. No one is gonna care if you benching 100 or 200 kilos or 50 kilos. In the end, you're going there for you. No one is going there to watch other people, train. Obviously, if you have a coach or your crushes at the gym, sure. But but no one really, no one really cares if you're lifting not insane amounts of weight,
Yeah,
as they
yeah,
should. Don't let, because if I think this is a little important to talk about. A lot of people, for example, actually, especially a lot of females, when they go to the gym, maybe because some gyms are very male dominated, and
well,
they,
I would say more than some.
yeah, definitely. Let's say I just wanted to be a little, um, but a lot of the gyms are male dominated, and if you see a man benching 100 kilos next to you, I think it will also make you feel a little. I won't say scared, but it will just take a little away from your ability to execute what you can do,
Mm,
and so let me just tell you, no one is watching you. No one cares how much you are lifting at the gym. You're going there for you. You're the only one that cares. And
yeah,
then this
yeah,
this this
yeah. That's
false,
true.
this is anxiety, and this false, way of thinking of that this person is looking at me or judging me. No one is judging you. Just go and do you. That's, I think, also one thing that I wanted to just talk about, since we are talking about getting injured and all these things.
Yeah,
Just you
man.
do you. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And like when I decided at the beginning of the year to set a specific lifting goal, I had in mind, I didn't have in mind a specific weight. Because when
Yeah.
I think about weights, it becomes very easy to make comparisons. Say, for example, you lift,
Mm.
I don't know, your bench is 100 kilos. My bench, I'm not particularly strong in bench. My bench is 70 kilos, right?
Mm.
But we are, say, similar in size. But for
Yes.
someone that's like twice the size of me or twice the size of you or half the size of us, 100 kilos or 70 kilos can be like ridiculously heavy. So I
Or
thought
yeah,
that other than do that, I go with times your body weight. So my goal specifically was
that's
hip
great.
thrust 3 times my body weight because I think people can
Wow.
relate like three
That's a
times that.
lot.
Yeah, it's a
That's a
ridiculous amount
lot
of
of
weight.
weight. I can't
And
do that. I can't. That's a lot of weight, man.
and
Three times your
I
body weight. Yeah.
unfortunately or fortunately depends. I didn't hit that quite yet, but
Mm.
I got to 2.55, so it is not that far.
It
And
is not that far.
no, it's just maybe 40 kilos more, which is still ridiculously heavy because you go from 180 to 220. So, geez.
It, it's closer to three than to two. So
Yes.
you're up there, man.
And I had other unwritten goals. So overhead, 100% my body weight, or deadlift 2 times my body weight. And it's funny because I focused a lot on the first one. I focused a lot on hip thrust to the point that my legs were like starting to break, and I realized that this makes no sense rushing, so I'll take it easy. And
Definitely.
while stopping on the hip thrust and focusing on other things, my overall strength actually skyrocketed. So I hit like the deadlift very easily.
Mm.
I'm not particularly a squatter, but I started squatting again, and I went from like 70 from the beginning to 95, and it was like, I wouldn't say a breeze, but it wasn't that hard as I
Man,
expected.
that's a lot of weight. That's
Yeah.
great, man.
And I realized that in the end, yeah, you have one goal, but if it is a strength-based goal, it carries on a lot of other benefits. So yeah, sure,
Definitely.
maybe you don't
Definitely.
you don't hit that, but if
Definitely.
you realize, you stop 1 second and you look back and like, geez, I increased everything
Definitely.
else.
Definitely. And that's, I think, something that is really underrated, actually, because
Yep.
they think sometimes, okay, hey, to only get stronger on the deadlift, I have to deadlift more. But that's not necessarily true. If you're also doing leg curls, if you're also training your hamstrings, you're also training your calves, these certain muscle groups are
Hmm.
also getting stronger. So indirectly, you're also training your deadlift, because you are making your deadlift stronger through the
Yes.
isolation movements. Even if you're doing squat, obviously your quads are getting activated, everything in your legs, almost your whole body's getting activated, and indirectly you're also making your bench and deadlift stronger. uh, so that's also a great thing, to add on. You can't always expect to go in and that one specific lift, if you don't do it well, or if you don't, hit a PR every time, that's fine. But with time, you're getting stronger, and
Yep.
and
Yep.
and you should really focus on a lot of other things other than that one specific thing, and then come back to it. Because I don't know how it is with you, Carl, but I can't deadlift once every week, because that destroys my like, I need then I think 2 to 3 days to recover from that.
Mm-hmm.
So I make sure I always deadlift when I have a rest day the next, because for me it's very taxing on my central nervous system and just my muscles in general.
Yeah, well, it is very
So
taxing.
definitely, and so what I do is, I do that maybe once every 2 weeks, and I realize, okay, awesome. Sometimes I do get a PR, sometimes I don't, but that's the thing. What happens between these 2 weeks is really what is making that one specific lift stronger, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that, maybe, that I guess we're agreeing on, because you were talking about hip thrusting 3 times your weight, and you know, just training something else is actually also, giving in, or like helping, assisting that goal of yours of hip
Yes,
thrusting 3 times your weight. No,
and also it brings the topic that progress is not linear. And
definitely,
that's another big deal because you see all the people who want to progress, say in their diet or in their lives or what's not. But progress is not a straight line. Sometimes it goes up, sometimes it goes down. The point is that the average at the end of the year, if you have been putting the work, will be towards your goal. But the
definitely,
daily thing, the short term, is not linear. So it makes no sense to
definitely,
see things as like, oh, for example, my weight loss should be like a slope. No, it doesn't work like that. Sometimes you're up, sometimes you're down, and there's nothing you can do about it but to be consistent if you want to lose weight in your calorie deficit. And then over time, you will reach it. But
one
if you look
hundred
at the
percent,
small thing, like the daily thing or the weekly thing, it makes no sense.
one
So,
hundred percent. Yeah, yeah.
what do you
I
think about goals for the next year?
Oh, what are my goals for the next? So it's not the 31st of December. I haven't really sat with myself and done a lot of brainstorming, but you know, I obviously have a lot of career goals. I also have a lot of, you know, I think my mental health is as important as my physical health, so I try to
Oh,
take
yeah.
care of that too. Um, but with respect to fitness, I guess I really want to, I want to hit a 200 kilo deadlift. That is just a goal
All
of
right.
mine. I think
All
it's
right.
possible. I'm at 180 now. You know, 20 kilos
Yeah.
shouldn't be the world. I think I definitely have more than enough time to do that. So my strength goals are pretty similar. Maybe a 120 kilo bench is up there, and maybe a 160 kilo squat. Those are big increases, but I think in 1 year.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, I just want to, I realized after I gained that much weight, I don't want to do that again. I don't
Mm-hmm.
want to gain insane amounts of weight and stuff myself with 4,000 calories of not so clean foods, to be able to gain weight. So that's something, for example, I learned from. Yes, I set that goal, but it wasn't all, you know, positives. Obviously, there's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of negatives, and this is something that I think, you know, we should maybe talk about for a bit, is that when you're setting your goals, so setting your goals is one thing, how to set them and everything, but when you set your goals, you know, there's also sometimes a price to pay with that goal.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely, you know, okay, if you want to, let's say your goal is to be a millionaire, okay, you're gonna have to sometimes step on to be a millionaire. You know how many no's you have to hear. You know how many times you have to get, you know, slapped in the face, or you know, get rejected, or all these things. You know, these are, you know, there are also a lot of negative aspects
Mm-hmm.
to reaching your goal, and I feel like this is something that is super important, because that's something we can learn from.
Yeah, that's true.
And the same thing with me. That's why I think when you set a goal, don't think that it's all just upwards from here. It's just an exponential increase from here. No, but you should always like embrace the suck of it, and embrace the negatives of it, and learn from them, because those are as important as your successes. And this is something that I really think should be looked at differently. You know, I think
Mm.
my failures are as important as my successes, because
That, but
I
it's true
just
because you learned a lesson.
exactly. So it's not really, I didn't really lose anything in the end. If anything, I gained a way of knowing how not to do something. You know what I mean? And yeah, that's why I think it's super important. What about you, Carl? I have a question. When you're setting
Yeah,
your goals, because this just interests me, because obviously, um, from the way that I'm hearing, you have realistic goals, and
yeah.
uh,
So
yeah,
my,
go ahead.
my idea behind setting a goal is
Hmm.
that I learned through experience that when you say, "Oh, I want to lift heavier," or "I want to do something," it's not clear enough. And when your goal
Definitely,
is not clear, your direction
definitely,
is not clear either. Therefore,
100%.
at the end of the day, if you don't reach whatever you were thinking, like, yeah, I didn't reach it, but it wasn't even really clear. So what did I do? I for myself try to work with the SMART goals. And I'm pretty sure you're familiar with that, but for those who
Mm.
are not listening, SMART is an acronym for specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-bound goals. So when you think about something that you want to achieve, if you can fill in those boxes, check those boxes, you have a goal that is very clear because it's specific, measurable because it has a metric that you can track. It is something that you can make attainable for yourself.
Hmm.
Therefore, it is realistic and it has to be time bound. Because I can tell you, I want to hip thrust 3 times my body weight, but then that's it. I don't tell you when. And it's true.
Exactly,
Of course, it's like a
exactly,
long term goal. But if I set a deadline, I can also put myself like a plan to reach it. Because otherwise,
definitely.
I'll never reach it.
Definitely, and sorry if I
No, no,
interrupted
just go
you,
ahead.
but I think that's like for me, this is also something I like to work on. For example, yes, I said I want to achieve all these things in a year, but okay, so I'm at 180 and I want to get to a 200, or I'm at 140 and I want to get to 160 kilos. Okay, but in what time span am I going to get to 150? In what time span
Yes.
am I going to get to 155 and then go to 160? This is the thing, and this is something that is, in my opinion, the most super important thing about setting, or the super important aspect about setting a goal, and that's your brain cannot process this vanilla stuff of saying,
Yeah.
okay, hey, I want to lose weight. Okay, yes, but
Yeah.
how? And
How?
what are you gonna
Yes.
do to lose that weight? How many times are you gonna train? What foods are you gonna stop eating? And once
Yes.
you start thinking like that with every single aspect in your life, it doesn't only have to be related to fitness, but even if you, I don't know, want to reach a goal in your career, you have to really ask yourself, okay, what do I have to do specifically now, tomorrow, in a week, in a year, to be able to get to that goal? And this is something that I've been able to um, really try to realize, first of all, that I am doing that, and if I am doing that, how can I you know tailor it to my speed and my needs?
Yep.
Because everyone, for example, maybe you can get to 3 times your hip thrusts in like, I don't know, say 2 months, but for me, it might take me a year. Let's
Yeah,
say,
exactly.
like, assuming that we're at the same starting point.
Yeah.
So everyone also has their own speeds and everything, but this is definitely a great way of really setting a goal, and what many people really don't do. Because I'm sure you have clients. I've had a lot of clients that have come to me and they're like, "Hey, okay, I want to gain muscle and lose weight. All
Yeah. But
right,
then
how
I
are you?"
always ask them, yeah, I always ask them, like, so define, oh, I want to
Yeah,
be healthier. Define healthier. Because if you're a heavy smoker, just being healthier means you stop smoking or you smoke less.
that's healthier. Yes, exactly.
Like, what's healthy?
Exactly. And that's the thing. Like, I want to go to the gym. I hear that a lot.
Yeah.
Like, okay, you want to go to the gym. The first thing you have to do is get your ass off the couch. That's the
Kind
first
of.
thing you
Yeah.
have to do. And like, this is the thing, that many people, and I know it's harder for some people than others. I'm not taking it. I'm not trying to undermine. Other people have other problems. Okay, but you know in my opinion, everyone is capable of exercising, of
Yeah.
course,
Yeah.
assuming that they are in a healthy state. Um, and you can start with 1 kilo dumbbells, jumping jacks, 10-minute workouts, 20-minute workouts, and
Or even
with
just
time,
walking. Just
or even
walking.
walking. I think that's also amazing, and that for me is in the end, I'm sure people know deep down, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. I have the
what
feeling.
what they need to do, and but they just don't want to tell themselves that because they don't want to give themselves the burden of coming of their own shortcomings, you know what I mean? And that's why I feel people really need to you know be specific with themselves and be harsh on themselves sometimes, because that's the only way you'll be able to know your capabilities to a certain extent, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
that's true. That's true.
definitely. I also think that there are some other, let's say, non-conventional ways of achieving your goals, and that's, for example, one of them for me is making your goals public. For
Yep.
example,
I very much agree with that. Yes.
yeah, what do you think of that?
Yeah. So I I think that accountability is a big deal. So when you
Mm,
set a goal for yourself and you keep it for yourself, there's people that can achieve those easy peasy, and that's awesome. But for the majority of us, I know that sometimes we have the little devil on the shoulder that says, okay, maybe not today, maybe tomorrow, maybe we'll start on Monday, and then Monday becomes next month. So
definitely.
I think
Oh,
that making things public, like,
yes.
okay, I slap it like there. I want to do this by this time,
Yes.
and
Let
watch me doing
everyone know.
this.
Your mom, your dad, your friends, your girlfriend,
Yeah,
they should
or
all
even
know.
something scary, posting that
Yes.
on your social network and everybody posts
Yes.
only the best things. All right, then
Yes.
slap your goal there and show us you grinding
Definitely.
through it, you struggle
Definitely.
to get it, and maybe
Definitely.
show us if you get it or not. Because I think that ultimately, if people give a lot of importance in their daily life to
Mm,
watching other people's content and like judging them, oh, look at this person, look at that person. Well, if you put yourself out there in play, you
mm,
have an enormous accountability batch of people. They will look at you and they will see your success, they will see your struggle, or they will see you not hitting the goal because of a long list of reasons. But at least if you make this public, you have people that will look at you and you have to show the progress. So you have to put the work.
definitely. Definitely.
And I think that having like other people, loved ones, or simply people that look at you makes you very accountable on
Definitely.
one hand.
Definitely.
And then on the other hand, there could be you put some money on it.
Oh
If
yeah. Oh
things are
yeah.
free, it's like, yeah, whatever, a free webinar or a free workout, whatever. But if you put some money on it, you might be amazed on how people behavior changes
Oh yeah.
rapidly.
Oh yeah.
And there are websites, if you don't want to put money anywhere, you can put this money on a website and the website will hold you accountable. If you don't hit
That's
the
super
goal,
interesting. I've heard
they
of
will
that. I've
donate
heard
that.
of that. I have heard of that. Yes.
Now I
Yes. That.
know that it's still kind of way of cheating because you can say, oh, screw that, I want my money back, I reached my goal. But in the end, you can do that, whatever. But you realize that you're cheating on yourself. And
Definitely. And that for me is way worse than
yes,
cheating on because subconsciously you are deep down that you have not only disappointed, I don't want to say the word disappointed other people, but you have definitely disappointed yourself because
yeah,
because
yeah,
you took, and that for me personally is one of the worst feelings, because knowing that you didn't give your all, or for me, like, if I give my all and I fail, sure, I am not mad, but
yeah,
at least I know I gave my all. But some people, they like half, or they 50% their job or whatever, and then they complain about why they aren't reaching their goals, whether it's fitness or career wise or whatever. But you don't have the right to complain if you are not really putting other people, or really just
mhm,
p- working your butt off to get to that. It's I think when I look back at my fitness journey, Carl, I realized that in the beginning it was tough. Like, sometimes I had to drag myself to the gym,
Yeah, it's true. I
Yeah,
agree.
yeah, definitely. You always have these days where you're not in the mood, and you're tired, and you already had like a full day's shift, and you just don't want to, but you drag yourself, and what you're doing there is you're making your future self get up, get off the couch, and go to the gym so much easier for him. You're basically, it's an investment, because
Yes.
the time that you're spending, yeah, into going to the gym in the future is gonna be so much less, because that also it requires a lot of energy. I actually heard an interesting podcaster talk about this. He was a neuroscientist. He said the amount of energy that you spend um, thinking about going for this run, or thinking about going to the gym and going like, yeah, I'll go, man, I'll go later, and all that,
Mm-hmm.
that is also energy wasted that you could have put into the gym, or into the run, or into whatever. And this is something that, you really just have to practice. Going to the gym, even when you don't want to, is like you are investing in yourself in the future, and saving yourself more time.
Yeah.
And you don't really think. And now I don't think about it. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go to the gym at like this and this. No, I'm like, okay, this is the time I'm gonna go. I finish this right now. Okay, I'm gonna go now to the gym, and I go and I do it, and I come back, and
Yeah.
that's it. And this is
And
really like conditioning yourself, right?
it's funny. Well, people can see, but I'm smiling because it's one of the very first
The
topics
beautiful
of
smile.
it,
They're
it's
missing
one
out.
of it's one of the first topics of my podcast last year. Is like future you versus past you. Who
Hmm.
cares about the other? At the end, the the challenge is with yourself. So, and I was talking about like one day I didn't want to wash my dishes, and it's something that's stupid, right? But
Yeah.
and I left the sink full of dishes, and I left my karate uniform on the floor, all sweaty and stinky, whatever. I was like, oh, screw it, I'm going to bed. The day after, my alarm didn't ring, and I had to go to work, and I had to leave my place at 8 a.m. And my alarm rang something like, I don't know, 7:45. And I just, when you jump out of the bed, you say, okay, I'm gonna have breakfast and go. And then I
Oh.
realized that all my breakfast stuff, my blender, was all dirty, shitty in the sink. And I was like, okay, I'll just pack my uniform of karate and go. And my uniform was all sweaty and stinky on the floor. I was like, God, pass Carlo, screw you, what have you done? And that's as you said, like if you don't do whatever you want to do today, yourself tomorrow will be like, why didn't I do that? I should have done it. And yeah, you can compare yourself to other people, but who cares? Compare yourself with the person in the mirror. That's all that matters.
Definitely, definitely, and always try. And I think you've also said this in your podcast, because I've heard that one, and you said always try to be better than who you were yesterday, not who you
Yes.
are today,
Yes.
or who you think you are gonna be, because you have this like certain image of that ideal future you, and every time you don't achieve something, you're beating yourself on the head with it. But you should, that's not how it works, because you should really try to, aim to be a better you. Last year you were walking 1,000 steps a day, now you're averaging 5,000 steps a day. Okay,
Amazing.
this is slow, and it's not a lot, but it's still progress, and you should be proud of yourself and celebrate the small successes, because that's something I don't do. And it brings me down with time, because I realize, okay, I achieved that. Be proud of yourself. It
Yeah.
shouldn't always be, oh, more, 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 more. Be proud of yourself, and but not satisfied, obviously, but like still have that. You should always have that drive. Being proud of yourself doesn't mean stopping in your tracks, and just stopping to move. But
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
it's also very important to take the time and go like, hey, I did this. I am capable of doing more, and I will do more. And this is, I guess, something that maybe some people, for me, I guess, or what I've seemed to hear is I'm too harsh on myself, because
Mm-hmm.
I always seem to sometimes maybe do something well and achieve it, but I always say, oh, it's not enough. And just that brings you down,
Mm.
and it actually takes away from what you can do in the future. And
Yeah.
that's why I guess, there's also two aspects, there's two sides to the sword. um, and so you should really, you know of course, give your all, to set your goals, and be able to, and give your best to achieve them. But also, when you achieve a goal, or half of that goal, be proud of yourself and pat yourself on the back, take yourself out for a beer or something, and
Yeah, but
then
that's true.
and then continue, put your head down and continue grinding the next day. And I think
Because after
that's
all,
a healthy way of looking at it, you know?
yeah, and it's
Yeah,
it's still a progress. When you work towards your goal, you still make
hmm,
progress. So even if you didn't don't hit it yet,
definitely,
like
definitely,
look back when you started. So then I
definitely.
have a question for you.
Yes.
What's your strategy? Ah, careful, because this is a purple. What's your strategy for motivation? Because everybody's like, oh, I want to
Oh.
be motivated. I need motivation. Like, oh my God. Like, okay, so
That's a
what's
great question.
Karim's strategy for motivation?
Well, you are in luck because I've heard your podcast on motivation, so so you can't trick me with that one, buddy. um, so, Carlo, that's an amazing question, and I think that a lot of people understand the word motivation wrong. I honestly, when I think about the word motivation, I don't think it's, you know, what makes me get up and all these things. It's not motivation per se. You know, I
Yes.
guess it's and then this also comes down to also the topic of intrinsic versus extrinsic motivation, and you see, if we're talking, if someone's motivation is extrinsic, I don't think it's a long term
Mm,
or it's a sustainable way of achieving your goals, whatever it is. If you're motivated extrinsically,
yes.
but what I came to realize is that my motivations are my goals. So to a certain extent, when I look at what is motivating me to get up, I look at what do I want and what do I want to achieve. Okay, so I want to reach a 200 kilo deadlift. Awesome.
Hmm.
That's all I need. That's all I need
Okay.
to make me get off my butt and go to the gym and do that. Like that's the thing for me. You know, for other people maybe it's different. You know, they really need that push from someone or from something, and it's hard to find that motivation from the inside. You know, going like I'm doing this for me, and this is why I'm doing it, not for anyone else. I don't care what anyone else is gonna think or do that. I want to do this for me, and this is what is motivating me. You know,
Yeah.
because a motivation is really just setting the pathways or setting the building blocks to the end goal. And if you want to call it motivation, the thing that drives you to get to that end goal, let's call it that. But but I think motivation is a very it's a very abstract thing that we can't
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
point our finger on, you know. And what if so what's the difference between motivation and not being lazy, you know?
Oh,
What
yeah.
is
That's true.
that's a great like comparison. Okay, when am I not being lazy and when am I motivated? You know, these are for me, it's almost the same thing. Like I am not being lazy to go to the gym, so I get my butt off the couch and I go to the gym, or I am being motivated and going to the gym. It's for me, it's almost the same thing, and that's why I
Mm.
think people shouldn't really stress on this. Oh, I'm not motivated. No, you are motivated. You're just lazy. Let's be
Yeah.
honest. Let's be honest. Be honest with yourself. You are motivated, but you can't take it, you can't accept the fact that you are lazy and you don't want to do it, you don't want it bad enough. And
Mm.
that's what it comes down to. Maybe have you changed your view, your point of view on this topic, or does
I
it stay the same, Carl?
still think that people that want to be motivated, they will not be motivated because this thing doesn't fall from the sky. And I
Definitely,
still very much think that
definitely,
whatever you want to do and you're waiting for motivation, you simply need to do the first step. And
definitely. That's
as soon
great.
as you start doing something, and even if you get like super small, very tiny, itty bitty results,
Mm,
those itty bitty results are the things that are going to drive your motivation. Say, for example, you want to start a fat loss journey, weight loss, you want to look leaner and you want to lose those extra couple of kilos, say, for
mm,
example. And if you're waiting to be motivated, those kilos will stay there. But
definitely.
if you start like checking your food a little bit, doesn't have to be like crazy from zero to hero, but if you start checking out your portions or you start
Mm.
switching some food that you eat,
Definitely, definitely.
and over the course of a few weeks, you realize that you lost some weight and the weight is not going back or it's not just a fluctuation, I bet that that thing will make you so motivated that you will stick to the plan. But on the other hand, if you don't do anything, you're like, oh, you're watching how to get motivated videos. That unfortunately will not help because those will not motivate you. I think
Ah,
that
100%.
action
Yeah,
results bring the motivation, and this is a kind of a spiral. So you do something, you get results, you're motivated,
definitely,
and you keep on
definitely,
doing something, get results, and motivated. I have a
definitely.
bracelet here, and this was a gift when I moved to Japan. And on the bracelet, there's a sentence in Italian, and the meaning of this, and I realize it now, how powerful this is when you talk about motivation. This thing says that the distance between your dreams and reality is called action. There you have it. I have been wearing this thing on my wrist for 4 years. So maybe subconsciously, this thing put me into the perspective of seeing like if you want something, you need the action. If your reality is what it is and you have a dream, unless you put some action to connect those, nothing will happen. And I think it's the probably probably could be like my message to everybody that's starting the year. Like you have a dream, you have a goal, which is amazing, but put the work down. Or the goal or the dream will stay a dream, will stay a goal. Because nobody else will do it for you unless you do it yourself. But sure, if you need some help, there's plenty of coaches around that you can ask for help. But do something, otherwise, dreams stay dreams. What do you think?
That's awesome, man. So, motivation is the reaction of the action.
Yes. And then
Yes,
I think it's also an amazing way to uh, start the year,
definitely,
and also
definitely,
probably an amazing way to end the podcast for today. We have been talking for
definitely.
almost an hour. God
That's
only
all, man.
knows
It
who's
it
going to listen
felt
to us.
it felt like 5 minutes, man.
I know.
Because I guess we have a lot to talk about, and
We are definitely going to do this more often. Just
off.
the time zone between you and I will be much more complex once I go back to Japan,
Yes,
but I'm pretty sure we're going
yes,
to find a way.
yeah, definitely. We'll always find a way, man. We'll always find a way. There's always a way to get things done. Let's call
And
that
and,
the
and
motivation is
that's
high.
and that's just what we just said. So,
Awesome,
but
awesome.
before we
See, and
say
now we
goodbye,
just made our goal public right there, no?
oh
We
yeah,
just
you
so
yeah,
now
there
we're
you are,
kind
there
of
you are. Now we're trapped.
yeah, now we're trapped. Awesome. Yes, you
But
wanted to say something. Sorry.
yes, before we say goodbye, once again, where can our listeners find you?
Awesome. Once again, you can find me on Instagram at Get Fit with Karim, Karim, Karim. Um, I once again post a lot of fitness related topics there, a lot of workouts, a lot of exercises, a lot of nutrition advice, and so on and so forth. Who knows? Maybe I'll start my podcast somewhere down the line if the people enjoyed it, I guess. And yeah, that's pretty much it from my side.
All right, that's
Thank you so
awesome
much
then.
for
Well,
having me, Carlo.
thank you for joining. I know that you are in Dubai, and I know today
Yes,
is a busy day
it's
for
a
a lot
beautiful
of
day
reasons.
here. Yeah.
So I'm not gonna steal much more of your time. So thank you again, Karim, for joining us today. I
Thank you for
think that we're
having
gonna
me.
do this more often. On that, I wouldn't agree on a specific periodical time because that's difficult, but I'm pretty sure we're gonna do it more often throughout the year. And we have a lot to talk about, and you have a lot of experience in your area and with your people, and it's amazing. And I want to hear more about it. And I'm pretty sure that whoever listens to us can benefit a lot, man. There's so many things that we can talk about, and there's so much help that we can give around. So that's gonna be
Definitely.
awesome.
I agree with you. Thank you so much for having me, Carlo.
Thank you, and have an awesome day.
You too, man. Merry Christmas. Take care.
Thank you. Thank you so much for listening all the way here. I hope that you were able to learn something from our experience that might benefit your journey. This was a very special year, and today marks the 1 year anniversary for the Rise Fitness and Nutrition podcast. I wouldn't have been able to do so much without your support, so thank you once again for being so loyal and listening to me every week. I'll see you next year.